Hi everyone. Welcome to the first event of Void Day. So welcome to Get Played, Get Paid. So this is an introduction to PPL. I'm Lauren Bauld. I've been with PPL for 6 years now. I have worked in our international team for 5 years and came over to our member services team last year. And I just work with up and coming artists and labels, just making sure that we're delivering the right service to them and that they understand what we're doing and how we can maximize their revenue. And this is Nancy.
Hi guys, yeah, I'm Nancy Mills. So I also work at PPL. I work in our operations team within our member services department. So what I am is a membership specialist, and what I do day to day is to help with any questions that you guys have concerning your membership or any prospective members, helping register repertoire with us. If you're a performer or an artist, musician, and making claims, that's what I'm here to help with as well. I've been at PPL for just under 4.5 years now. So yeah.
Excellent. It's great to work alongside the guys at Wide Days. It's going to be an excellent digital program. So Nancy and I are going to be taking you through the core of what PPL do, and we're going to have some time for questions at the end, and we'll be available in the bar area as well after we finish. It's only lunchtime though. I probably won't have a drink. So with that, let's get cracking. So Nancy, do you want to take us through what we're going to be looking at today?
Yeah, so throughout this presentation, so what we're basically going to take you through is an overview of what PPL do, so who we are, who we cater to, what we do on our days to day, and basically how you can make the most of your membership if you are currently a member, or the benefits that will be available to you should you join us. So things that we'll be looking at is just going through who we license and who we represent, things like international collections, and also showing you a quick whiz round our online portal and how you are able to manage your membership with us. Cool. All right, so firstly, in regards to what we do, PPL was founded in 1934. So we have been around just over 85 years. We celebrated our 85th anniversary last year. And what PPL do, so we are a collective management organisation here in the UK. We collect royalties and pay them out to our membership. So our membership comprises of our performer members and our rights holder members. So what we would class as a performer member is anyone who makes an audible contribution to a sound recording. And then in regards to our rights holder members, that would refer to anyone who owns the masters or paid for the masters of a sound recording. So as the UK's music licensing company, what we do is we license businesses for them to use recorded music, and that's where our money comes from within the UK. And then also we do have a general network of international agreements as well. So when you do sign up for PPL, you do have the option to sign up for our international collections, which Lauren will delve into a lot more later. So we do have our numbers now for our 2019 collections. Was a very strong year for PPL. So in total, we collected around £271.8 million, which was an increase of £25 million, or around 10% from 2018. And that growth was achieved across all our core revenue streams. So that would mean our public performance licensing, dubbing, and broadcasting as well. So in regards to those three core streams, you can see the breakdown of the total collections. So public performance probably is our biggest core stream revenue that comes in. So that was £99.6 million that came in from public performance and dubbing revenue. What we call public performance is when the use of recorded music is licensed within our venues across the UK. So things like restaurants, nightclubs, hotels, offices, things like that. What we would class that is as public performance. And it definitely shows the importance of recorded music to businesses and organisations, and how important it is so that they have a license in order for us to pay our members. Now, collecting revenue from licensing is only just one part of our business. The other is to pay out the revenue to our members. So in 2019, we paid more than 108,000 performers and 11,000 recording right holder members. And the revenue that is collected for a specific recording will be split on the recording to the rights holders and then to the performer.
I think we might have just lost Nancy for a minute there, so I'm just going to take over for her. So just to pick up from where we were, PPL make 4 payments a year. So we make payments in March, June, September, and December. So in March, those payments relate March and September. Those payments relate to international revenue, and June and December we are distributing our UK monies. And revenue that's collected for specific recordings will be split out between the recording rights holders and the performers, and that's in accordance with our distribution rules. So it is generally about a 50-50 split on a recording. It doesn't quite work like that, but it tends to be about a 50-50 split. So 50% to the recording rights holders and 50% to performers. And then the performer allocation is then split down further. So we have different types of performers on a recording. We have a featured performer and non-featured performers. Featured performers will be allocated a larger share of the recording, so up to 65% of the performer share of the recording, and then the rights holder, the non-featured share will be up to 35% of the recording. So Nancy, are you back with us? Are you okay for me to hand over?
Yes, I believe I am. Sorry about that.
Hey, it wouldn't be the first session if there wasn't some sort of technical difficulty. So I think we're doing all right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually over to me now anyway.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the market. So we've covered the basics of kind of what we do. So now we're going to have a look at how we generate revenue through licensing. So these are the key areas of the broadcast side of our licensing. So we license over 250 TV broadcast channels. So that includes people like the BBC, Sky, ITV, Channel 4. And it also includes things like simulcasting and catch-up services on things like iPlayer. We license over 350 commercial radio stations, including the likes of KISS and Capital. And then over 1,800 other radio services, including online or community radio or and student or hospital radio. So the way that it works is the majority of these broadcasters will provide us with reporting on what they have played. So as soon as they play it, they will have a record of what they've played, and then they will send this data through to PPL. We then match that data to the recordings that are within our database. So the other key side of our licensing within the UK is public performance licensing. Public performance, as Nancy said, is where things are played in places like gyms and shops and nightclubs, pubs and offices. So we license to over 400,000 businesses in the UK. That's absolutely massive. But as you can imagine, the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown has impacted our public performance collections for 2020. And we're going to see that impacting us for the remainder of the year. So businesses are reopening with lockdown being eased, and we're starting to collect from businesses again. But as you know, there will unfortunately be some businesses that won't reopen, or some businesses that choose to use music differently from now on. So we're working very closely with our licensees to try and manage these transitions and lessen the impact to our members. So it's just important to note that at this time we are communicating with our members and with our fellow industry bodies as information becomes available as to what impact this will have on us. So how do we collect for public performance from these 400,000 licensees? That has been done via our joint venture with PRS. So It used to be that if you were a business or organization that wanted to play recorded music, you would need two licenses. You would need your license from PRS and you would need your license from PPL. So ever since 2018, we've had the single license. It's called the music license, which is much clearer for people. This joint venture is based in Leicester. And we haven't merged. The two companies haven't merged. PPL and PRS are two separate companies still. We undertake this together, but we do also work with PRS on other areas of our business to make sure that we're getting as much fair reward for our members as possible. So Nancy, you were actually up in Leicester for some time when PPL PRS got put in, weren't you?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting time in the industry. Enjoyed it. Just in regards to just transferring knowledge, things that people do, and then obviously finding out more about what PRS do, and then how we could support them in regards to licensing. So yeah, it was a really good time.
Excellent.
Cool. So yeah, literally, as Lauren said, in regards to membership and member types, PPL and PRS are still very separate. So what I'm just going to quickly explain is the difference. So a lot of you might have heard of PRS already. Some of you might be signed up to them as well as being signed up to us. So the main difference is that we're separate because we collect for different types of rights. So at PPL, we collect for the rights of performer members and rights holder members, whereas PRS for music will collect for the rights of songwriters, composers, and publishers. So we license the same uses of music within the UK, so that being TV, radio, and broadcast. However, when the money comes in, it's distributed separately. So PPL would distribute to their members, and PRS would distribute to their members.
So we've had a look at who we license and how that works a little bit. So now we're going to have a bit of a look at who we represent. Nancy did touch upon this a bit earlier. So anyone that's performed on recorded music can join PPL as a performer. And anyone that owns the rights to music can join us as a recording rights holder. You don't have to have airplay yet to join us. You can join us, and it is a free membership. So I think it's worth saying that if you both a lot of the time now, people do work with labels who are traditional recording rights holders, if you'd like, but people are now doing a lot more self-releasing. We're seeing people, musicians, releasing their own and distributing their own music. In these cases, we would encourage people to have both a recording rights holder and a performer membership. As a recording rights holder, you will be responsible for putting the recordings into our database and making sure that we have the recording information that we need when the reporting comes in from the licensees. And as a performer, we'll need to know about your contributions. So anyone can be a contributor as long as they have an audible performance on a recording. But there are some other performers who qualify to be on there, in some cases producers or eligible studio producers and conductors can also qualify for revenue from PPL. It's definitely worth telling us even what your role is on a recording as a performer, even if you don't think it's going to be payable, because the rules about how this works vary around the world. So in different territories, there are different rules about who gets paid on what recording. So it's definitely worth us knowing about all of your contributions, whether you think they may be payable in the UK or not. And of course, our member services team are on hand for any questions you might have about what is considered a payable performer. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our international collections. So as well as collecting on behalf of performers and recording rights holders in the UK, you also can mandate us to collect for you globally. So collecting for recording rights holders and performers internationally is now at the heart of what PPL do. And we've been doing this since 2006. So when you mandate PPL to collect for you internationally, we undertake a number of activities with different societies all over the world on your behalf. That means that this can vary from territory to territory, and the rules of other societies can be quite complex. So our international team are experts in knowing what they are. At the very high level, it means that we take the data requirements for each society. we take the repertoire information in the format that they require, the performer information in the format that they require, and we manage the exchange on your behalf of telling them what you've performed on, or telling them what your recordings are in which territories. The revenue then flows back through PPL. We analyse the payments to make sure that they are in line with expectations for performers and rights holders, and then we pay them onto you in our 4 distributions, 2 distributions for international each year. So each CMO has different rules and requirements to be paid accurately. We have a 20-strong team at PPL dedicated to working with societies across the globe, and they're experts on those data requirements. So PPL can collect royalties. We have over 100 agreements with number of territories worldwide. We now capture, I think it's about 92% of the value of the overall neighbouring rights market, which is massive. So we've collected over £500 million since we started in 2006, and this continues to grow. Neighbouring rights in the UK is fairly well established, but that isn't necessarily the case in other territories. Lots of territories still have developing neighbouring rights. Developing neighbouring rights markets. So what PPL do is we work alongside them to make sure that they are implementing the best kind of service possible. They will often contact PPL when we sign new agreements and ask for the benefit of our experience in doing that. PPL also gives back office services to some international societies, so that we can make sure we can work together to make sure that we're delivering the best service possible to rights holders and performers. So we're always signing new agreements. We've signed 6 in 2019. So 4 of those were on the recording rights holder side of things. We don't necessarily just sign new agreements that cover new territories. We can sign new agreements to cover new rights in certain territories. So the available rights to collect for in different territories is different. And so, for example, we signed with STAP in the Netherlands last year, and that allows us to collect for private copying in the Netherlands. So we are always kind of broadening the reach of what we do, and as new rights become available, we will always have conversations with our partners to see that we could get the right amount of the right breadth of rights for you. So I mentioned that we were collecting a growing amount of money. This is absolutely true. So we have collected over 500 million since 2006. But this kind of just gives you an idea of our positive growth in our trajectory. We do experience a lot of growth, but what I would say is a lot of this pertains to what we refer to as previous airplay years. So a lot of PPL currently are distributing revenue from maybe from 2019, and later on this year we'll start distributing revenue for usage of recorded music in 2020. A lot of societies around the globe aren't actually as up to date as that. They may be distributing revenue from previous years. So we are working with them to help release as much of that backdated revenue for our members as possible. So there's a lot of exchanges that go on. I think sometimes we're even releasing revenue back to the 90s. So that's quite a lot of revenue. So just to give us an idea of kind of where the sort of largest territories are and in terms of those collections. This is what 2019 looked like in terms of a breakdown of the revenue that we got from our territories for an array of rights. So you'll see that Germany, the USA and France are the biggest territories that we collect from. Germany was, it's worth noting that Germany was bolstered last year by some quite significant backdated payments. So that was a bit higher last year. But you will see that number 2 in the list there is others. So actually it does show that whilst whilst the large territories do give us a lot of revenue, it's really important for us to have those agreements with the smaller territories, because it does add up to a sizable amount of remuneration for our recording rights holders and performers. Okay, back to you, Nancy.
Cool. So yeah, what we're gonna talk about now, so assuming that people that are listening are either PPL members already or at least considering joining, what we're going to talk about is the fact that if we're collecting for you here in the UK or even potentially internationally, we need as much data from you as possible in order for us to pay you accurately and maximize your revenue for us. So what I'm going to show you now is what your online portal would look like and how you can manage your data with us. So once you join PPL, you'll be able to set up your own account on my PPL. So this is your secure online member portal, which acts as a gateway to communicate with the team. So any of the member services team at PPL, if you have any information, provided that we have everything that we need, it's free and it comes along with membership. So there's no extra fee or anything to have access to your information online. So some of the things you can do via PPL. So once you're logged in, you can view payments and view statements. So every time we distribute out of our 4 distributions without the year, you'll be supplied with a tax statement, which is viewable online. You can also update your contact details and bank details. Obviously, updating your bank details is incredibly important to ensure that we are paying revenue that is owed to you into the correct account. And we'll also send out promptings throughout the year to make sure that you are doing that quite timely if you happen to change your bank details. It also gives you the ability to register new recordings. So if you're registered with us as a rights holder or a rights holder as well as being a performer, we have the register repertoire section, which is incredibly intuitive. It allows you to register your new sound recordings and releases with us so that we have our data and that data in our database. It also allows you to manage your repertoire, so anything that you have registered with us previously or any claims that you have made with us as a performer previously, you still have visibility of all that information. And then also make brand new claims on any existing repertoire, so any contributions that you've done recently, in order to check that the recording's in our database, you can search for it and then make your claim, which will include you telling us what you did on the recording, your role, like Lauren mentioned earlier. We also have a helpful series of videos available on our website as well. So that's in regards to navigating my PPL, as well as being able to make performer claims and register sound recordings. They're actually really good tutorial guides. So especially if this is something that you've never done before, or you're a brand new member with us and you've never registered a recording with us before, we do have a step-to-step video tutorial, which will show you what your screen should look like and the stages as to registering recordings. So if you are attempting to register new recordings, we always advise to have a look at the video first. Back to you.
Yeah, so PPL also works with other organisations within our industry. So we're just going to take you through some of those. PPL work closely with PRS Foundation. So this invests in the future of music by supporting and growing talent and new music across the UK. So the foundation since 2000 has supported over 7,000 new music initiatives to the tune of over £35 million. And it's done through open grant schemes which are available to musicians and organisations, and partnership programmes which are led to fund for specific needs. So let's talk about some of 2 of those that PPL are involved in. So PPL Momentum Music Fund. So this is the flagship fund of the foundation and offers grants of £5,000 to £15,000 for UK-based artists and bands, and it just helps people get through to the next level of their career. There are many ways in which the fund can be used. So applications can be made for different costs. So that could be for recording an album or a single or an EP. It could be for studio hire, session musician fees, touring costs, travel, accommodation, which you would outline in your application. Some of the successful applicants, there's been some quite high-profile successful applicants who have had the benefit of these, have been grantees. That includes Miss Banks, Sam Fender, Kate Tempest, Years and Years, to name a few. So obviously they've gone on to do some great stuff. So that's really, really encouraging for that fund. Just to give a shout out to who that's run in conjunction with. So that's in conjunction with PPL, Creative Scotland, Arts Council Wales, Creative Wales, Arts Council of Northern Ireland, Invest Northern Ireland, Spotify, and partners with Ben Sherman Events. So it just gives you a breadth of how many organisations are involved in this. PPL donates and lends expertise in the panels that go through to selecting the grantees for those particular funds. The second that PPL is involved in is also contributing to the International Showcase Fund, which actually looks a bit different this year because of the impact of COVID. So PPL provide funding and expertise for the selection process for the International Showcase Fund. The Showcase Fund can grant up to £5,500 as contribution to travel and visas, accommodation, per diems for artists. And this is particularly to fund artists and songwriters and producers who are performing at industry-facing showcasing festivals such as South by Southwest, Eurosonic, Womex, Reeperbahn, Medem, Canadian Music Week. The list goes on. So if you are interested in any of these, in applying at all, if you are an artist that's looking at these, do give the foundation a Google, and you can have a look at how to do that. There are guidelines on how to submit an application and when the various deadlines are. I think there's 4 deadlines for the Momentum Fund a year, and that I think there's one coming up in August if you're interested. Okay, so I think it's just worth at the moment, especially given the time that we have. I think it's worth at the moment just to recognise some of the funds that PPL are contributing towards at this time. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, PPL were very aware that our members would be affected negatively by this, by not being able to work, not being able to tour, or being session musicians, being in the studio. So rather than set up our own fund that some other companies have chosen to do, we looked at the partners that we were working with that were most suitable to give to help with funding. So that's included Help Musicians, Musicians Union, the MMF, and AIM. And it's really important for us to support these initiatives. We've also been working internally to help out our members at this time. We've been looking at different initiatives. We've been trying to get the money through to people faster. So we have moved forward some of our distribution dates in 2020 to make sure that any revenue that is waiting for people can be paid out. I know that the cash flow is obviously a big problem for people at the moment, so and especially for some areas of our membership, so it's been really important for us to be able to contribute in that way. We also have regular meetings with these organisations and other industry bodies to make sure that we understand what the ongoing impact will be, and what other initiatives we can do going forward in the second half of the year to help the impact that this is having on people. Let's see.
Cool. So yeah, we're just going to go through a quick recap of what we've discussed so far. So essentially, main important things are to ensure that you are registered with PPL correctly. So be it that you are a performer or a rights holder or both, and making sure that you have the correct membership with us. Register for PPL International Collections to maximize your potential revenue. Especially if your sound recordings may be used abroad in other territories and radio stations, PPL can collect that as well. So make sure you are opted in for international collections. Keep your account details up to date. One, so yes, that we can pay you correctly and timely, as well as us being able to contact you should there be any issues with your account. If there's anything you want to discuss regarding your repertoire, we can do that provided that we have the correct contact details for you. Making sure that your repertoire is up to date and managing your repertoire in general. There are different deadlines and cutoff dates throughout the year in regards to making sure that you are paid in our distribution. So things like claims deadlines or ensuring that your recordings are in our database if you are registering them. So this should be something that you get into the habit of checking quite often. And also save our website. We're always there. We have a great FAQ section, a lot of video guides and user guides in regards to anything you haven't done before, and also our contact details. Our member services team are on hand to answer any questions that you may have regarding PPL. And then we also have our contact details here available as well. So this is for our member services team in order to contact us. Currently, our phone lines are down as we are all working remotely. However, we are still very much available on email and also through the My PPL portal as well.
Yeah, and just to add to that, really, I think that's absolutely right. Like, as much as you can keep your details up to date with us is really important for us, because essentially we're a data company. We're sharing data, recording data around the world every single day and in very large volumes. So the more that you can tell us about your recordings, if you're an artist or a recording rights holder, that's really important for us, because it really gives us the opportunity to help collect more for you. And especially when we talk about the international collections as well, that we have certain data that we need in the UK in order to help to distribute money to you. Those requirements differ around the world. So it might be that something that we need in the UK, or we don't need in the UK, sorry, may be really essential to helping collect revenue from maybe Germany, for example. Things that might be an example of that might be giving us the duration of a recording, or the genre, or those associated details. And if you do get in contact with us, if you're unsure about which ones are the really vital ones to have, if you do get in contact with our member services team, they'll be able to point you in the right direction. Because I know it's a lot of data. Neighbouring rights can be very complicated and look complicated from the outside, but we are here to help you with those things. So please do get in touch with us. Obviously, Nancy and I are around as well.